You're on 2 now. Our journey is to the year 2247 for the TV premiere of tonight's movie Drome. Alex Cox introduces the stylish sci-fi satire, Trans.
Hello and welcome to another episode of It Could Have Been a Classic. So we're not going to be talking about any dire TV programmes this week or failed TV series. Looking for that glimmer of potential and could it have been more. We're not going to be talking about movies as such, but we're going to be talking about one specific programme. This is more about the feeling and the memories of a certain night of the week. And I just look forward to it. It was a big thing for me. So I present to you, we're going to be talking about the classic movie series, Movie Drome with Alex Cox. I'm really excited to talk about this one. Sunday nights was like at this time when this season, this series was on. It just made my weekend. I was out partying a lot of the weekend. I was younger back then. And Sunday night I was at home suffering from the weekend. But there was one thing that ran every week for me, Movie Drome with Alex Cox. Movie Drome ran from 1988 to 2000. There were two presenters. Alex Cox did the first 88 to 94. He left. Matt Cousins took over till 2000. Now, I liked Matt Cousins. I thought he was all right, but he wasn't quite Alex Cox for me. Alex Cox just nailed this genre specifically for what it was. I have such positive memories of this because Alex Cox, he'd have these amazing series intros. And let me just go into a bit of his career. Alex Cox, film director, experienced success in his early film career with cult classics Repo Man and Sid and Nancy, two awesome films, and he did some other stuff. As of 2012, from what I was reading on Wikipedia, trying to catch up with his career, he's now teaching at a university in Boulder, Colorado, film studies. So that's sort of interesting. He was a bit of a rebel, was old Alex Cox, with his filmmaking. He really was. To me, he stood out. He was so different. And my memories of Movie Drome, I was really into science fiction, but Alex Cox introduced like the sort of darker side of filmmaking, not just the darker side, but the weird and the weird, really strange sort of movies that flopped. He says in one of his intros, he says the people that understand this program are the people that watch Movie Drome, like cult films and stuff. And he covered over 207 films between him and Matt Cousins over the years. And some of the films, now, most weeks there was a double bill. So he'd like come on at 10 o'clock, 10:30, and then by midnight there'd be another film on. But what it was, the beauty of this, was his intro. And he'd tell you loads of interesting facts about the film, you know, about the making of it, the problems on the set, where it could have gone. And he was always in a surreal studio set, like a drive-in cinema, or he'd be sat outside a building. It was just so wonderfully put together, this whole series. And I used to sit there on a Sunday night. I'd have a cup of tea. I'd probably get a takeaway, and I'd sit there and I'd watch it. But it just wasn't the film, because when the film finished, he was there after the film, you know. And he with his voice, everything about him was absolutely. It was just beautifully put together. BBC used to, on a Friday night, they used to have something called Night Train. I don't know if anybody remembers that on BBC2. And they'd show an episode of Night Stalker. Then they'd show a horror movie, or there might be two horror movies, and an episode of The Outer Limits. But what they did was they had a presenter who was sat in some weird back set introducing the film and the programs, and I miss that. You know, I really do miss that. But what I found with Alex Cox, he took it in a certain way, and you were just fascinated with his voice, everything about this guy. And he even covered Repo Man in one of the film reviews he did. You know, like the intro. But it was the ambience of a Sunday night. So I remember being at work next day. People, did you watch Movie Drome last night? And years later, people still go on about Movie Drome. And so I'm just going to show you some of the films they covered. So let's take a look. He showed such classics as Cue the Winged Serpent. God, that were a classic. That was. I'm going to have to review that. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. An all-time favourite of mine is Trancers, that went to Trancers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't get me started on Trancers, but I will be covering Jack Devlin Trancers. And one of the greatest cult classic movies of all time, Escape from New York. Yeah, with today's media, we have access to everything now: Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, HBO Max. When it comes to the UK, I mean, there's just YouTube. We have so much, but this was made at a time when we didn't have access to this. You had to go out and buy a book, like about film, or go on a course and learn about it. And this was the magic of this. And I think with modern day media, even though it's accessible, I miss like seeing a presenter before a film. I went to a film festival a year ago, year before. I went to a premiere of this cult science fiction movie. It was terrible, but the director was there. He was on stage giving a talk, and you know, I was more fascinated by him, you know, that introduction to the film before it started and the Q&A after. And what Alex Cox did with Mark Cousins back then, they just put this beautiful line out for a film, you know, and like Movie Drome won't have appealed to everybody. It went out to a specific audience on a Sunday night, you know, like that. I don't know. People had an interest in film. I mean, you know, the thing is, when VHS came out, we had access to it. Was like when VHS, as I was saying, like when it came out, we had access to all these awful movies like Trancers, and a lot of people would call Trancers a terrible film, but I love Trancers. Today I watched it recently, and I don't know, it wasn't as good as when I saw it back then, but this were like what was on offer. The VHS nasties. There were that section in the video library where all the crap got put. And where did you go? You had the mainstream section, and like you go in there for the latest title, but then you go into that section of that video library. And when you go in there, you'd find stuff like Deathstalker or Cue the Winged Serpent. You know, you find these terrible, bloody movies, and you'd rent them out and you'd watch them. Tor the Barbarian. I watched one on Amazon, a friend of mine. We've been doing a Movie Drome thing every Sunday, and we sort of like criticize or have fun watching the film, you know, like a watch party. And I don't know, I'd like to see Movie Drome back again. I'd like to see Alex Cox or somebody like Edgar Wright or somebody like that to sort of do these cool introductions and that, you know, but we don't get that anymore. And I miss that. It started like, if you've seen the film Ed Wood with Johnny Depp and Vampira, she used to do it, didn't she? When they show the horror classics, she'd be stood in the graveyard and all the fog and all that. You know, it'd be stuff like that. But for between 88 and 94, for me, they were the golden years of Movie Drome, and I just loved it, you know. And I used to I didn't bother renting videotapes out on a Sunday night. I'd check on TV Times, movie Drome, what films they were covering. And 98% of the time, most of the films I would watch. So one or two I wasn't interested in. But then again, it catered for that kind of audience. Like I said before, he said the people that watch Movie Drome aren't the mainstream people. And that was so true. He came out with his classic quote, which I have to read to you. And I'm just going to find it now. And I have to read this to you. Director Alex Cox curated BBC2's Movie Drome, right? In his own words, what is a cult film? A cult film is one that has a passionate following but does not appeal to everyone. James Bond movies are not cult films, but chainsaw movies are. Just because a film has become a cult movie does not automatically guarantee quality. Some are very bad, others are very good. Some make an awful lot of money at the box office, others make no money at all. Some are considered quality films. Others are exploitation movies. One thing cult movies do have in common is that they are all genre films. For example, gangster films or Western films, they also have a tendency to slosh over from one genre into another, so that a science fiction film might also be a detective movie or vice versa. They share their common themes as well as themes that are found in all drama, love, murder, and greed. And you know, he just did it so perfectly on target with that. You know, I don't know what else to say after reading that. But I'm just trying to like get the memories of that feeling of that, you know, on a Sunday night of Movie Drome. It was an amazing experience. Certain top film directors, like I've quoted Ben Wheatley, Edgar Wright, they cite Movie Drome as an influence in their careers. Alex Cox, it's same for me. I've got a passion for science fiction and cult movies, and half of it people won't watch, but I find it fascinating. Do you know what I mean? And I think this is the end now. I think we're going to come to the end. But I just wanted people to remember this for what it was. So I will see you on the next video. And look, all these intros, do you know what I do before I go? Type in Alex Cox Movie Drome intros on YouTube. All these intros are there. Then get a film out, get the film ready, watch the intro, and just, I don't know, relive that moment of a Sunday night. I've done it a couple of times. I've used his intros and watched the movie. And, you know, it's been amazing. I did it with trances and I just loved it. You know, it was just perfect. You know, it brought that ambience back of that. And Alex Cox, to me, is one of the best directors out there. His career has been interesting to read up, and you should check out his career. So, guys, I will see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll put a little intro at the end, and I will see you on the next video. So, and stay safe.